Hey, Burgers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back in the Gumbo pot this time with a little bit of crowd surfing Lagniappe. That's right, we're taking a look at projects that won't break your budget, but throw in a little something extra, some cool games. And today we're looking at Honeypot from Flatout Games. Honeypot is the newest crowd surfing project from our friends at Flatout Games. They sent us this preview copy. It looks pretty final in my opinion, but you never know. There could be some changes by the time the project goes live or when it gets delivered to you. So keep an eye on the project as it goes through. It is one of these I split you choose games, and we're always looking for games that that can do that mechanic great. And Joseph Z. Chen, I think he's got a good one here. In this game, we're trying to score points over the course of 5 rounds. So we're going to shuffle up these cards and we're going to set out 5 round cards. Each one of those, it's kind of a little catch-up mechanic. We'll set those aside. Kind of a little catch-up mechanic. Whoever has negative points at the end of each round is going to get one of these cards. And they're all some kind of good bonuses that'll help that last player, the player that's getting hit with the negative cards, catch back up. Over the course of 5 rounds, we're bears, and we're trying to score points by collecting these cards in our hand. How do we do that? It's pretty simple. Each player, and it plays up to 6 players, will have a folder, a little secret intel folder. We're like secret agent type bears in the forest, trying to not get stung by bees. We'll start out with 6 cards, and those 6 cards, we'll look at them, and then we're going to set them in whatever order we want to, knowing that the player that we pass it to, and this token is going to show which direction we're going to be passing, that the player that gets this is going to flip over 2 cards at a time, basically a pair. They'll pick from that pair. If they don't like it, they can pass that pair, go to the next pair. Take a look at that pair, see if they like it. If they don't, they can pass it along. If they do that, though, they're stuck with that third one. So you get those mind games about how do I set these cards so that the player that gets these is going to leave something that I want. What does that mean? I want because each player also gets, in addition to their little secret token thing, these 2 little snatch or steal type tokens. They're each worth 2 points if we don't use them. But if we want to use them, if a player at the table uses, let's say I'm playing a 2-player game and my partner chooses the first 2 cards, the very first pair, and leaves the other 4. Well, then I can spin this token and I'll finish that turn out by flipping those, the first 2 to look at, and then the last 2 if we don't like the middle 2. But whatever we do in those last 2, we got to pick them. So why would I want to do that? Because maybe I can sneak 2 cards to the top that I think my opponent wants, but what I really want is for the opponent not to choose the ones after that. Then I'll spin that token and get a chance of those 2 cards, because getting more cards is better in this game. So let's talk about the cards themselves. And like I said, we're going to do that over 5 rounds. The cards themselves are all about collections. So we've got good cards, we got kind of medium cards, and we got bad cards. So some of the good cards are like the berries. In the berries, you're trying to collect sets of 4 berries. But if you get to that 5th berry card, so as we roll it up, it's 2, 5, 9, 14 if we have 4 of these berry sets. But if we get to the 5th one, then the whole set is worth 0. So it's good. Let's kind of push your luck too, because as we get closer to that 3 or 4, are you going to get stuck by one of the other players who are trying to force you to take another berry, thereby canceling the points you scored? The disguises are just points. So collecting the disguises, there are 5 different types, A, B, C, D, and E, and they each have this great little Kwanchai Moriya art from all the different bears and all their different disguises. They also have a question mark or a wild one that you can use. And these score a lot of points. They can be very lucrative. You have to keep these. I keep losing to my wife, Snow Bunny, because she just keeps dominating me in these disguises. Because as you can see, if you get 5 of them, it's worth 18. And then you can start another set. So she's been doing really well in those. So those are the good cards, with the caveat that those berries can go to 0 if you take too many. Then we got the good intel and the bad intel cards. Remember, we're secret agent spy bears. So we're looking for good intel, but we don't want bad intel. Good intel means that we're getting points, either 1, 2, or 3 from these blue cards. And if we can get a set of all 3 blue cards, in other words, a 1 intel, a 2 intel, and a 3 intel, we get a bonus of 3 points at the end of the game. So you can get a total of 9 from getting those blue cards. Bad intel, though, gives you a -1, a -2, and a -3. You don't want those. However, if you have bad intel cards, that's going to give you access to these bonus cards here. And some of them are really good. Here's one that gives you code books. I haven't talked about those, but basically the code books are just trying to get a pair. For every pair of code books you get, they're worth 7. So they're either worth 0 or 7, depending on if you have a pair of them. You've got a decoder, which lets you get more of these tokens so that you can steal more cards. You've got a blind swap. These are action cards, and you got to deal with them right away. You got to get rid of one of your cards, maybe a bad one like one of these bad intel, and you just take a blind draw off the top of the deck, and you get one of these scoring cards. So you can see these are all pretty good cards here, and they do help you. They can help you catch up. But if you get a set of all 3 bad intel cards, you get to get rid of all 3 of them. So you went from going -6, but getting all these bonus cards at the end of each round, to having no negative points at all. So bad intel, you don't really want them, except they're going to give you bonuses. And if you can get all 3, you can wipe out those bad points. All right, there is a couple of other cards to deal with. Let's start with the Honey Dipper. The Honey Dipper is great because the first one you get is worth 6 points. Don't get any more. If you get a second one, now they're worth a total of 3 points. So you lost a few points. And then if you get a third one, you busted just like on the berries, and you've got 0 points. So you got to be careful with those Honey Dippers. You want to try to just grab one, maybe late in the end of the game. Then the honeycomb, and that's where the bees swarm in. So if you grab a honeycomb, it's going to be worth points to you. So your opponents are not really going to want to give it to you, except for one thing. Whoever gets that, every time you get that honeycomb card, you take control of the bees. And the bees are worth -7 points to whoever is holding this token at the end of the game. So in a 2-player game, we found that somebody gets it and nobody else wants it. But in a multiplayer game, it will be passing around the table. So that is those. The rest of the cards to look at are scoring cards, and that's where you can score cards for what other players, the player on your left and the player on your right, has in terms of berries. Same thing with the blue cards, the wiretaps, and the spy cards are looking for people that have disguises on your left and right. So if you are getting jammed and your opponents are getting all the disguises and racking up the points, you can come back and get a point per one of those cards from your opponent. So good way to kind of even that out a little bit. And these are those scoring cards. Now, at the end of the game, you're going to total up all these points to see who's the winner. There is one more scoring, and that's these little rubies. So the rubies at the top, we're going to look to see whoever has the most, and they'll get 6 points. And then depending on the player count, there's other points there. So as you can see, the rules are very simple. You are getting 6 cards, putting them in the order you want the other players to look at them, hiding them in there, and handing them out to the other players. The player to your left or to your right, depending on what it says, then they flip out 2 at a time. That's basically how you play. It's a very simple game. It takes maybe 20 or 30 minutes to get the whole game done. And a lot of times you just re-rack and play it again. All right, that's kind of an overview of how Honeypot is. Not really a review here because I always have trouble reviewing Kickstarter games because things can change during the project. But I'm going to tell you, I really enjoyed this game. I've always wanted a good game that's got I Split You Choose. I've played a bunch of them, but this one is pretty good from the standpoint that we really got into the mind games. I've been playing it a lot as a 2-player game with my wife, and admittedly, it's more fun with more players. But with 2 players, you get into that meta of by the second or third round, and then the second or third game, she's starting to go, oh, you know what? He always seems to want to put this at the front so he can sneak these things in the back. And then I'm trying to do the old Vizzini thing of, well, maybe that's what you think I'm doing. Maybe I'm going to slide it to the middle so that when it comes in the middle, you think there's something better at the third one. And really, it's something bad. So, it's that mind game of how can we place these things? And it's also very interactive because you really have to pay attention to what the other person's tableau is. If you're the kind of person that says, there's not enough interactivity in some of these card games that are coming out. This one is interactive, and it's not really mean because ultimately it's up to you to decide whether you want cards or not, right? And some, or the luck of the draw if you get one of these blind draws, or you get the one that flips out cards. I mean, it's up to you to take those actions, and sometimes the luck just is with you or it's not with you. So not necessarily mean, but it is interactive. You have to keep an eye on what the other players are doing so that you can either steer cards to them or steer cards away from them towards you, forcing them to maybe give you a card you want, or holding on to these tokens here so that you can take somebody else's card. So not a full review because things might change, but I do like this game. And you know, the fun thing about Flatout Games is that the prices are pretty low and the shipping's pretty easy. So you're getting a lot of game in this little package here. And there's some Lagniappe. I have not opened it up yet. I'm going to try to open up with some of the Acadiana board gamers this weekend. But this is the Sticky Fingers mini expansion. And it's my understanding that if you back the game, there's a chance to get the little mini expansion. It's adding more cards to the deck, more Honeypot cards, and more cards are better, right? With a game like this. And so that's kind of some Lagniappe that you can get if you pay attention to the project. I will say this, the Kwanchai Moriya art, I don't remember seeing very many animal games that he's done, and these bears are just so cute to look at. So as you can tell right from the cover here, it's got a great little shot. So that's a bonus. It's having some really fun art all over the place, done by Kwanchai, with the art and graphic design by Kwanchai Moriya and Brigette Indelicato. So if you like those two artists, and we've seen a lot of good work from them, you're going to like Honeypot. And again, it's a Flatout game in conjunction with AEG. They're big supporters of Southern Board Game Fest, so I got to give you that caveat. It doesn't influence how much my wife and I like the game, but just to let you know, they have provided a lot of games for us, a lot of play-to-win games and other games for our library at Southern Board Game Fest. So just a full disclosure there, but check it out. I've got a link to the Kickstarter project in the comments below, in the description of the video. And I'd like to hear what you think about Honeypot. There's going to be 2 games that are going to be in this in this Kickstarter project, but Honeypot's the one that I've enjoyed so far. So until next time, les bon temps roulé.